where I'm completely blaming the victim. Okay, I'm blaming the victim 90% of the time. I'm sorry, victim.
Oh gosh.
In this one gonna be short. Then the one we're gonna close it out with is gonna be a little bit interesting. All right, let me go and pull it up. All right, let's see. All right, we're gonna close that out. All right, right here.
Hi, everybody. First off the top here at 10, a Montgomery County woman says she's down $14,000. It all has to do with a lottery ticket scam.
And police believe that there could be more victims throughout the region and even the country. Fox 5's Lindsay Watts is live in Rockville tonight with more on the story. Lindsay.
Angie and Jim, police say the victim was just sitting in her car in this parking lot here in Rockville when a man approached. He said, "I have a winning lottery ticket, but I'm undocumented, so I need somebody to cash it for me." From there, police say the scammers watched their game and in a matter of less than thousands of dollars.
The con artists, this is their life, this is the scam that they do, and they're so good at it, it's almost like they're a magician.
Montgomery County Detective Matt Vendemia was one of the first on scene after the call came in back in April.
$14,000 taken.
He knew right away. It sounded like a long-running scam.
That's like a Latin lotto or a pigeon drop scam.
The victim reported that a man and this woman told him
It had something to do with hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Police say the pair convinced the woman she had to pay to get the winnings, and she took out $14,000 from her savings. Investigators say the thieves drove with the victim to her home where she was supposed to be picking up identification to claim the prize. Police say this is video of the suspects taking off with the cash and getting she
It looks like they're
I
dancing.
guess because they were traveling across the country scamming people.
While these cases says he was able to get prints from the victim's car that linked back to Daisy Castillo Badillo. Police say she lives in Los Angeles. LAPD arrested her there, and Montgomery County's fugitive task force went out to get her.
Now, yo, we talking about using your due diligence, and you got to use your due diligence. What are your thoughts on that one right there? I feel like that's kind of foolish. I feel like that could have been completely avoided with just a little damn common sense.
I agree. I mean, I'm trying to be the nice person over here, but God, come on now. Come on. But like
really?
Yeah, I mean, but like those kinds of things are common. Like I'm just trying to jot them down before they escape me. But back in the day when when Western Union and stuff was popular, like let's say you bought a car online, like on Craigslist, and then they were like, "Oh, send me the money via Western Union, the down payment or something," and then you would never get a car. So
Right.
things like that, like it's just so easy to scam. And then something else that popped into my mind. This has nothing to do with finances, but I remember, like years ago, like people would like come across you in the parking lot, and they were like, "Oh, I could give you a psychic reading." Like they would say something about you that they could probably read about you, and then like it would pique your interest, and like, "Oh, you might know what you're talking about." So like that's like an example of a scam that really like kind of randomly popped into my mind.
Right.
Like just like it's everywhere.
Yo, with stuff like that, I'm victim blaming. I'm sorry. Like a random person come up to you in your car in a parking lot, and you take them to your house and giving them $14,000.
You didn't think at all.
I'm gonna be honest, real talk. Real talk. They would have just got. I can see why they won't get. I can see why they probably went across the country and got a lot of people with this, because I would be too damn embarrassed to call and tell anybody that I felt for that BS. I'd be like, I would be like, man, I can't let people know like my name is, and I got caught with this scam. I would feel like a straight buffoon. So
I mean, they know who to target. I mean, if the scam was that they couldn't cash it because they were undocumented, right? So they probably went to someone who could relate and was like, "Oh, tying them up, making them feel comfortable. Hey, I'm undocumented.
Right.
Ooh, I can imagine. That's just horrible. That's horrible. Ooh.
Yeah, I couldn't have been the police officer who took that report. I'd have been laughing my ass off. I'd have been like, "You say you did what now?" Hold on, I gotta sneeze. Hey, I hope that sister gets her money back, but god damn, that
Never.
I couldn't genuinely. I felt a lot better for people who fell for schemes that I think are more believable, at least. You know what I mean? A little bit more believable than something like that. Now, the last one I had, I was talk about, and if it, we can punt around things, but again, this is something I just recently saw on the news. It's a scheme, right? Now, I will say men and women both fall for the scheme, but I think it's more a scheme when women are victims. I'll explain that, okay? Don't beat me up, ladies. Let me get my point out before y'all jump on me and bash me over it, okay? Anytime you can play on someone's emotions with certain things, I always tell people that's where you need to be cautious. If you got somebody who's saying, hey, I got the greatest investment in the world, and us as black people, we need to come together to have these things. When people start playing on race, when people start playing on religion, hey, this is a thing, I'm only talking to like-minded Christians. When people start saying stuff like that, you should be on high alert. And so, and I say that to say that, it's certain things that are easy to scam people when you talk about love, when you talk about finances. And one thing that we see, this was just on the news the other day, a lady met a guy on an app, and in a matter of 2 months, this dude finessed her out of $106,000. And so now again, I think it's a scam when it happens to women, because I think it happens more to women. Now with guys, it happens too, but with guys, I think it happens more in the context of women are probably looking for love. Guys are probably on OnlyFans simping, trying to do something. So I think if the guys are on OnlyFans simping, right? Now, I want to, because I think there's a distinction. You can correct me if I'm wrong. This is my thoughts on it. I feel like the Tinder swindler, those mostly were women who were genuinely looking for love and relationships, and these guys got duped. Now, guys get finessed too, but I think it's less common on that platform. I think the guy is probably being a little bit creepy. He might be on OnlyFans. He might be donating, and next thing you know, he came up off of all this bread and didn't get whatever he expected or thought that he was going to get. But I think that that's a scam that's actually more commonplace, where people are getting pulled by their emotional heartstrings, men and women, and people are finessing them out of hundreds of thousands of dollars on the hopes of, oh, I love this person, or this person is my girlfriend. What do you think about that? This was literally, I just saw it on the news yesterday, because I didn't even think about it until I saw it. And I was like, damn, people still falling for that in 2022?
Yeah, I mean, love is a hot topic. It's always been, but I guess right now for sure, like everyone's looking for love. All these shows about love, prison pen pals, like
Right.
all this, like, so yeah, I could believe that. Like, but I agree, like from a woman's standpoint, she's probably, but guys are looking for love too. So, but I'd say more so women are victims to like these Tinder swindlers and
Right. Yeah, and there are guys out there who are looking for love who fall for it. I don't agree with that. I think, if we looked at statistically, and I don't know, I'm just assuming, I think it would probably be more women who fall susceptible to those type of things. So I tell you, this is me. Now, it's certain variations of advice that I like to give. Sometimes, and it depends on who I'm talking to. Sometimes I give advice as a legal counsel. Sometimes I give advice as a husband. Sometimes I give advice as a dad. Sometimes I give advice as a brother. Sometimes I give advice as, yo, dog, this is how you need to move if this is what you're going to do. Sometimes I give real advice like, this is how you're going to get it. Sometimes if it's my daughter, it's different. So, one of the things I found this out because I actually Googled one day on YouTube, because, it's a phrase I had a running joke where, there's certain guys, I guess women do it too, but guys, they have a phrase for men. It's called hobosexual. You know what a hobosexual is?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, a hobosexual is someone who gets into a relationship with women to have a place to stay, to have some roof over their head. And so, I don't know why I was on that concept, but I went down this hole in YouTube and I did a search for like women loaning men money in relationships. Because I know what it was. A homegirl of mine told me that she had a friend who she started dating a guy, and after like 3 weeks, he was like, "I need some money to get my car out the shop." And I'm like, so when we know that those sensitive areas, everybody want to find love, and love is a sensitive area. So my general rule is, and maybe I'm old school in looking at this, but I would tell my daughter this advice: if you get in a relationship with a guy, he shouldn't be asking you for shit. Pardon my language, but he should not be asking you. I honestly can't remember prior to marriage where I was ever dating a girl and I asked her, like, hey, I need to hold something to do X, Y, and Z. I just was never built that way. It just wasn't something. Maybe I got an old school way of doing it, but apparently it's a really common thing where women are loaning guys money very early on in these relationships. And I just think as a general rule that that's a recipe for a disaster. You might not get it paid back or something like that. So that's just kind of my take on it.
Yeah, and excuse me, I just get all these ideas and I take notes as they come to me because I will forget. But yeah, for sure. Dating rules. So the idea that popped up was like some type of webinar where like this could be a topic where like just red flags to look out for in different scenarios. So
Right.
whether you're dating or whether you're working with a professional or organization, like just ways to protect yourself or just be careful.
Right. I definitely agree. You got to protect yourself. Like, I don't want everybody to have a jaded view on life like I do, but unfortunately, me, just based on my experiences, I, I, I guess this is probably the fairest way to say it. I generally assume the worst until I have sufficient evidence to presume it's not the worst. And I know it's probably a lot better to presume that the people have the best intentions. You know what I mean? I I have the best intentions. It's probably better to presume that until someone does you wrong, but I tend to do the opposite. I assume like, okay, is this person trying to finesse me? They might be trying to finesse me. So let me be a little bit overly cautious of how I move. And then after a while, I'm like, okay, this person appears to be a genuine person. That's just kind of how I do it. It may not be the best way to do it, but it's kind of my own internal self-defense mechanism from being gamed, just in life in general. That's just kind of, my thought on it.
Sometimes it just takes going through something a couple of times, maybe 1, 2, or 5, to realize like, okay, this is something I should learn from. So
Yeah.
yeah, experience is also a good teacher. So
Yeah.